Classic Car Cave. This is just a small add-on to the torsion bar videos I did. I've done 3 of them, and this is basically just a kind of information on top of the 3 videos that I did, because I had a lot of comments and some questions about certain things that I showed in the 3 videos. The first thing I want to talk about is the adjustable reaction plates in the car. Obviously, when I bought the car, the reaction plate was there, which is just a basic plate which goes across the base of the car, which basically stops the whole thing from twisting. And you need this plate, particularly when you're rebuilding the floor of the car, because you need to get that measurement absolutely spot on. So I have the original flat plate, and then I decided to buy the adjustable one, and somebody mentioned that it's probably come from racing, or it was a racing I did for classic car racing, where they can lower the front on the E-Type. The only thing I would say is they obviously it's very unlikely there's going to be any damage to the reaction plate because it's so thick, the steel. But if there is any issues or any drop, a slight drop on the torsion bars for whatever reason, there shouldn't really be, but if there is, you can adjust them a little bit without taking everything off. That's the great thing about them. Whereas you don't have that opportunity with the standard plate, because you have to put the bolts through the holes that are there. I suppose you could elongate them theoretically, but whereas with the system for the adjustable one, you've got quite a wide arc, so you can use all of the cams. So what it means is, if you've got any droop, or you want to lower it or higher it, you can actually do it by just lifting the tension down to a certain point and actually turning the cam. This is why it has a special Allen key in it. So there's upsides and downsides. I went for it because I thought it would be a good addition. The second thing is the spinner tool. Now you'll see I'll put the address, the email address on the bottom. This is from a chap in England called Lionel, and his email address will be on the bottom now. And I bought this around about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was. He's a retired engineer, and he makes them himself out of 1 billet aluminium. And they were around about £50, I think, or something like that, £55. I don't know what they are now. Obviously the price of that would have gone up if in fact he's still making them. So I'll give you you've got the email address there on the bottom, and then you can contact him directly yourself by email and either get one made or he'll ask you some questions about the spinner size and so on. Okay, so that's that covered. The reaction plate is covered. One of the other questions I had was about this ball joint splitter. Now, there's a couple of different types there's a few types of ball joint splitters, but there's another one which has a fork and a long arm, and you can smack it underneath the ball joint. The problem with them is they tend to tear the ball joint gaiter, whereas with these they don't. You can reuse them again, and obviously it's an MOT failure if that gaiter's damaged and dirt can get into the grease. And the other thing about this particular one is you can change the position of, so if you've got a smaller, if you've got a smaller ball joint, I don't know if I can get it lined up properly, hang on just a second. So you can actually change, oh, this is going to be tricky. Anyway, you can actually change this position of where you want to put it in. You can see there. So there's 2 holes in it, so there's one on the bottom and one on the top, so you can actually change that depending on what the size of the ball joint is in the first place, so you can make it longer, so that throat will get longer. So they were the things I wanted to go over. I'll also put up a picture, a close-up picture of the torsion bars, and it actually is stamped on them LH and RH for left hand and right hand. So obviously if they're left and right handed, that means obviously they're going in the opposite way to each other. So if you're taking one will go up and one will go down, because it's left and right hand as you're moving them, because all the pressure's up the way. But I'll put a picture in, I'll insert a picture in. Okay, one of the other things that was mentioned about putting copper slip on the splines It certainly would make it easier to push the splines in and out because it's metal against metal, and probably as well what it would do is the copper slip or the grease, whatever you want to use, would actually stop the water, the rainwater getting in. Even though it's a tolerance fit, it would just probably help not getting corrosion in between them. Okay, what was the last point I had? I'm not a professional car restorer. It's a hobby for me. You know, there's a big difference between people doing this for commercial reasons and having to make a profit. And I think as an amateur or as a hobbyist for classic cars, I think we have a fairly good standard. I mean, I've seen some so-called professional restorers, and some of the things that they're doing are really, I can't believe that they're actually still in business, but it does happen. So there are good professional restorers and bad professional restorers, and adversely the same thing with amateurs. There's people that are doing things at home that are not restoring that well, and some aren't doing it better. So, you know, it's chalk and cheese. But the guys that are watching just now, I've obviously got to do quite a lot of work on the E-Type. Now I have to do the IRS on the back, so there's a lot of work involved in that. But also I'll be working on the track car, even though we won't use it till next year. I've got a lot of new parts and some new modifications I want to put on the car. So we're taking the inlet and the exhaust manifold off and doing quite a few other jobs. So that'll be coming up as well as the E-Type, but obviously I have to be able to move these vehicles around. And if I pan the camera around here, you can see, if I can hold it, you can see there's the car there. So I have to, as you can see, I've got the E-Type up on the ramp. You can see I've got the E-Type up on the ramp here, and the track car down here. So every morning, or whenever I want to start work, I have to take this outside because I want to bring the ramp up and down, and bring it back in at night because obviously it's below freezing. So, as I said, it's really just a case of giving you some of the information on these things. Now, there's probably a lot of things that I haven't covered, but like I say, I'm not a professional. I'm just doing these videos to try and help people out. Hopefully it helps. I'm not an expert in E-Types. Yeah, I've learned a lot, and I've still got a lot to learn, and I guess you never stop learning. Every day's a lesson day, if you like. You can always learn something. So I just wanted to give you the information on these things that people have been asking me about, and very soon I'll be putting up another video, probably the end of the week, on starting on the IRS. So stay safe, keep the faith, and enjoy your hobby. And by the way, that phrase that I use is obviously stay safe in your garage. It was nothing to do with the COVID situation, although that's an add-on, but it means be safe when you're working in the garage. And keeping the faith has nothing to do with religion. It's about keeping the faith and getting on with your car, your hobby, whether it be woodwork, drawing, whatever you do. And yeah, that's where it's come from. Stay safe, keep the faith.